Behave.
All right.
Okay. Uh-oh. Which one is it? Well, Kufar Akbar, everybody, hello. Welcome to another edition of the Crescent radio show. We got somebody here with a hot mic already. I'm going to mute everybody if you don't mind. There we go. Welcome, everybody. Hi, this is Eric, and we are here every Tuesday evening at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time and every Sunday afternoon wait a second, did I say that right? Friday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time and Sunday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And you guys still have not gotten back with me. And I don't know why you guys are holding off on it, because you're always so willing and able and capable to give me advice. And I've asked you guys, do you think it would be a good idea to move the Sunday or no, let me rephrase that. Move the show from 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on Sunday to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Everybody in the chat, if you could say yes, no, 2 p.m.'s good, 3 p.m. would be better for me. 3 p.m. I couldn't do it, or however, whatever. Let's see here. You guys are already talking about the topic that we were going to be discussing, about the death of Muhammad. That is tonight's topic, and George is going to be talking quite a bit about that here in just a little bit. And then Paul is going to be speaking on, what is it, Paul? The International
FGM Day.
Okay. And then for those of that
Stop
don't
FGM
know it,
is what it is. Yeah.
Okay. So if you don't know what FGM is, that's female genital mutilation. This is where the Sharia, and it's right here in Reliance to the Travel, and I'm sure I'm going to whip that book out and read it directly to you. Where it prescribes that. It actually says, yep, it's right there in that book, that green little book. It prescribes female genital mutilation as a courtesy. I think it says as a courtesy to the husband. So go ahead and take away any gratification that you may have for sex because you want to be courteous to your husband. That makes zero sense in a sane world. But then again, I don't think we live in a sane world anymore. Okay, so tonight I wanted to open up with something that I got yesterday. I got notified yesterday of a show on YouTube that our acquaintance, I wouldn't say he's a friend because Beholder Guard, Karim Zayed, whatever his name is, he made a video about Katerina Ra Street, or whatever her name is, from Kenny Bomer's channel. Now, if you know the history of Beholder Guard and that channel, Just long story short, Kenny calls him a racist. Beholder Guard gets mad. Kenny gets mad. They're not able to patch it up. And then Beholder Guard starts making all these videos about Kenny's past. Kenny starts calling him everything but Christian. Maybe if you called him Christian, that would have been the ultimate insult. But anyway, he starts calling him all these names, these nasty things. Things get worse. Beholder Guard accuses him of making a fake GoFundMe page. This is the drama. I mean, it might as well just be a soap opera for people. Yeah, thank you, Isa. Raham Street, that's it. Katerina Raham Street, thank you. Yeah. Then Kenny has this dog and pony show trial, drags Beholder Guard before it, and anyway, Beholder Guard never got along with Katerina. So he called her everything but every name under the book. Well, evidently, he got a hold of some information about her. He made this video about her where she's a nurse. She's a registered nurse, and she has had some problems professionally as a nurse. Now, I don't care, to be honest with you. I really don't care, except for the people that she might care for or supposed to care for would be in danger. The only reason why it matters to me is because these two clowns, Kenny namely, who can barely pass a background check himself because of all his criminal history, and then this lady, now both of these two were the ones that were the most vocal, the loudest about attacking me as being a danger to the children of the school district that I teach in. Me. I'm the danger, not the guy with a felonious past. Now he wants me to be clear on this, that he was not convicted of a felony. That's what he wants to be perfect. I was not convicted of a felony, but you were charged with felony and you pled these down. So you're a felon as far as I'm concerned. I don't care what your strict legal definition is. It matters not to me. But he's saying that I'm a danger to the children of the Cedar Rapids School District because why? Well, I'm an Islamophobe. No definition of what Islamophobe is, but Katerina herself was just as vocal, saying that I was a danger to these children. And what reeks the most about all of this, is the hypocrisy. Because Beholder Guard got a hold of her nursing records. And I don't know if are they supposed to be public or something? I don't know what it was, but he was showing them on the screen. And she has, let's see, there was 3 things there. There was a couple things there. I don't know, no more than 3. But I remember number 1, she walked off her post one night for 40 minutes as a nurse. Just left. AWOL. Now, as a soldier in the United States Army, you learn on day 1 your 3 general orders. And your first general order is, I will guard everything within the limits of my post and quit only when properly relieved. Let me say that really slow. I will guard everything within the limits of my post. Whatever I'm told to guard, I will guard. And I will quit only when properly relieved. I will only stop guarding this when somebody comes in and relieves me. This is a private, 17, 18-year-old privates learn this, not some 30-some-odd-year-old professional who's gone through a litany of boards and testing and methodical checking into the past. No. These are just privates. And she couldn't even do that. But I'm the danger, don't you see? She also had a problem administering morphine. Doctor prescribes morphine. I think I have this right. I might be wrong, but I think I have this right. Doctor was supposed to prescribe morphine for patients. The thing that kills the pain. I've had morphine before. I had it when I broke my ribs skiing. Oh crap. Anyway, it came up missing. On 2 different occasions, it came up missing. Now, if on 2 different occasions it comes up missing, that's just what they found. That's not what they didn't find. So if it was on 2 different occasions, it comes up missing, you can bet your bottom dollar that it came up missing on several other occasions. Now, what it was for, what she used it for, I don't know. But she had the unmitigated gall to sit there and make all of these claims against me with no proof whatsoever. No proof whatsoever. I'm going to report me to the board for nursing. Okay, Issa, we know this guy here. This guy's crazy too. That's why I love him. Islam Issa Mess. This is our buddy Olga. He's a nurse, and she wanted to report me to the board. Look at that, dude. That's like that. See, this is psychopathic. I mean, this is crazy. And there was something else with the saline bag. I don't understand, all the ins and outs of, nursing and what the duties are. But I know if you're told, hey, give this person some morphine and you don't, and it comes up missing, problem. I know if you're told you're supposed to monitor this hallway with all the patients on it and you don't, problem. And it shows up. And here's the thing. It shows up in her professional record. And then there was something where she was supposed to give an IV, and she told the child of the person who was supposed to get the IV to do it himself. So what do you say about this? Well, I emailed the imam who's in Israel, not Palestine. He's in Israel right now. And he responded with the fact that if you want to throw this back in Katerina's face, that's your business, or throw her pat. No, that's not my goal here. My goal here tonight is to make sure everybody understands the type of people that deal with your channel. I know the people on this channel. I know some of them have had some pasts. This is true. But they don't demand people quit their jobs. They don't go out and try to out you, to hurt you professionally, all the while acting like there's some pious piece of garbage. That's the big difference here. So
I will say this.
You want to deal with it? Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah. Before they go to the boards, that means that numerous infractions have happened before they go to the boards. They don't report stuff like that to. Yeah, it's pretty serious. That means a hospital or wherever she's been working has had numerous reports before they go that far. And that is an attempt to have her
decertified. It sounds to me
her certification, license is probably the wrong term. Her certification to practice removed. That's what that is.
That very well may be, because this is exactly what they do to educators. Educators, yes. Just as well as I do. I've seen so many bad teachers. I really have. And, you're like, why don't you get rid of these people? Well, there's so much paperwork that you have to go through. I mean, it makes it almost impossible to fire a teacher. I mean, I don't want to say
that's after they get tenure. It's only after they get tenure.
Right. Yeah, this is true. Okay. But even then, it's really difficult to do that. And you have to have an audit trail to do this. Slam RN, she's a nurse. So she's saying nursing records are public. Oh, okay. Yes. Well, that's okay. That's probably where.
Same as the teachers' records, all public employees. Yeah, and you can look up teaching records too.
Yeah. Anyway, so I just wanted to lead off with that tonight, because it just eats at your gut when you think of the hypocrisy that these guys they have to exhibit here in order to try to call out somebody who has nothing in their record like that. So I'm going to leave it alone at that. Nurses have licenses. Okay, I'm sure she cannot administer narcotics. That might be a point. Issa says that she probably can't administer narcotics now because I mean, if you demonstrate that you have violated that trust, that oath to care for the patient, I would take away that. I guess I don't know. Maybe Issa could tell us more about that because there's got to be like some type of training or some type of certification or some type of additional qualification that you would have to have or possess in order to administer certain. Because I know there's a scale of the type of drugs that you can administer. Like just about anybody can give you an aspirin. I'm sure. But
I was certified to pass medications by the state of New York for a good while, and not as a nurse, but as someone certified to pass a certain level of medications. And I will say this, that if you got caught with the controlled the amount of that they're talking about, I think that lady is exactly the person who wrote that comment. Islam is a mess. I believe that is exactly correct. That is generally the correct penalty. Yes.
Yeah, he says okay because of the more okay. So there's probably
you cannot mess up a control sheet, and anybody would hire a nurse who messes up a control sheet is taking too great a risk for their own facility. They're taking a risk with their own facility by hiring someone like that.
Yeah, I mean it's a liability. That would be a liability, I would think.
Oh yes.
Look at Chris wrote here. This is classic. Can we really trust Beholder Guard? That might be true. I think he's a psychopath, to be honest with you. I think he has some type of I think he has issues, but I'm just telling you what was on his screen, and he was reading off the screen, and it looked legitimate to me. He went to her name, and he went through this step process, and so I don't know. Anyway, okay, so let's get to our topic now. George had asked 2 weeks ago, can we do a show on how did Muhammad die? And I got to thinking, how much material is there? I mean, we all know that Muhammad was poisoned by a Jewish woman, and the poison affected him to the point where it eventually killed him. And I was under the understanding that this was just common knowledge among Muslims today. And that is what I get for assuming. So what we're going to do tonight is, he missed with the wrong Jewish woman. He sure did. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to let George present the ahadith and the information on what the Islamic sources say on what Muhammad died, and how there is, how would we say this, how there is poetic justice in the form of his death, if in fact it was by poisoning. So, Mr. George.
Hi.
The mic is yours. Welcome.
Yes, my pleasure to be here with your distinguished panel. Dr. Kabir, Dr. Kofar. I mean, maybe me and Connie are the only non-doctors here. Wow. But
does it make you feel a little inept? I mean, it's all these doctors. I mean, if we had the Dr. Radical Moderate here too, we would have a full deck.
We'd have a trinity of doctors. This topic I think is important, and let me lay it out step by step why. Firstly, Muslims do accept that Muhammad was poisoned. It's in their material. They can't deny it. What they do deny is that the poison killed him. So yes, they will say, I agree, yes, someone attempted to poison him, but the angel Gabriel told him about it, so he was not actually poisoned to death. They do not want to believe that their beloved prophet, who Allah tells him everything, would be allowed by Allah to be poisoned to death. They point to the argument that, well, look, he was poisoned 3 or 4 years before he actually died. It's not possible for someone to be poisoned today and it takes them 3, 4 years to die. That's not true. Let me repeat, it is not correct to say that if you're poisoned today, you must die immediately or not die at all. No, poison can damage your organs so much that you die a slow, agonizing, painful death. So what we want to
Would
look
this
at,
be would this be akin to maybe somebody who is a burn victim, and they burn their skin off, and maybe that doesn't kill them outright, but it limits their mobility and their abilities physically to do things in the future. Would this be similar to that, if I'm not mistaken? Because I don't know much about getting poisoned. I know a lot about poison gas, but not poisoning people and ingesting it and having it affect the organs itself. If you don't know, that's okay.
well, I'm not a medical doctor, and you can check the records. You won't see my name in any record as a medical doctor, but I think many sources will confirm and make it quite clear, and you can reach out to a medical doctor who will confirm that poison can kill you slowly. It just depends on how much of the poison you ingested.
Right. Okay.
So I am saying categorically that based on what I see from Islamic sources, not Eric's book that isn't even written yet, not any other Islamophobe, from the Muslim sources, it is clear that Muhammad eventually died from the poison. So one, I'm saying that he was poisoned. The Muslims will agree on that. Two, I'm saying that he did not ingest enough of the poison to die immediately. Three, I am saying that it killed him slowly. And four, I'm asserting that he ultimately died from the effects of the poison on his internal organs. I mean, their sources even say that after he ingested the poison, his lips grew blue. It was clear from his lips that he had ingested some poison. The only reason why he didn't ingest enough, I don't think the angel Gabriel told him. Why didn't the angel Gabriel tell him before he actually ingested the poison? It doesn't make sense. He saw his.
Well, it would show that he was a prophet, after all. Look at the prophet can live. His buddy over here died. I mean, he goes, but the prophet.
Yes.
Allah Akbar. I'm only half dead now.
Yes, and
I don't know.
And the name of the heroine, if Saudi Arabia is ever liberated from the scourge, a hero of Saudi Arabia must be Zainab bint al Harith. Zainab bint al Harith. Because after all the wars, after all the men who tried to get rid of this scourge of this evil person named Muhammad, after all of them were not able to get rid of this guy, she is the one who was able to poison him. Do you know how many people they eventually executed her? According to Islamic sources, Zainab bint al Harith was ultimately executed by Muslims for poisoning Muhammad. They didn't forgive her.
Okay, but okay, how did they kill her? Does it say how they killed her? They just take out and cut her head off, or?
Yes. It seemed that they just chopped her head off.
Okay, so this happened right after Muhammad says, "Oh, hold your, I've been poisoned. There's this goat that's talked to me, or sheep, or whatever the heck it was."
Right.
Says
Right.
that
Right.
I have poison in it, and so they took her out and killed her. Now, how old was? Does it say? Do we know how old Muhammad was when this happened?
I believe he was about 57. He was in his late 50s when it happened. He was in his late 50s when it happened. And the story, and we could go into all of these sources, but the story about how surrounding the eventual poisoning of Muhammad is quite interesting, where he had attacked a Jewish village, killed the males in the village, the Jewish males in the village, and of course took the woman captive. And of course, to him, the women are stupid. So she offers to cook him some sheep. And he says, sure. I mean, in his head, this is a stupid woman, and she wants to cook him this meal because she loves him so much because he's a great prophet. But she poisons him. Okay? And
Okay,
her,
so let's make sure we get this point out there, George. Okay, so Muhammad and his boys, they whack this village. They kill all the men,
yes,
which includes, I'm assuming, her husband, her
yes,
son, her father, her
correct.
brothers. Okay,
Yes,
they
yes,
kill all them,
yes, that's right.
and then she says, "Are y'all hungry after an afternoon's battle?" And they look at each other like, "Well, yeah, yeah." Is that what you're saying happened?
That's exactly what happened, according
And
to
they did
Islamic sources.
okay, and they didn't suspect. Well, what do we just killed her husband, but hey, she's a good. None of that came up, and
No,
according to
because
Islamic sources.
because he's a holy prophet of God, and she, as a woman with not much sense, is so happy to be with him, even after he murdered her family or family.
Right. Did they make her a sex
Uh,
slave?
Well, she was probably about to become a sex slave.
About
Some
to become.
Muslims, yes, some of the Muslims call her, say she was actually his wife.
what?
Some say that she was his wife, and she was not.
Isn't she supposed to be able to mourn for 3 months?
Yes, but she was happy to be with the prophet, so
You're right.
Okay,
allowed to cook
that
for
was
him.
okay, Connie. That was a mistranslation from the Arabic to English. It didn't say 3 months; it said 3
What is it?
minutes.
Okay. Well, that makes more sense.
That's it.
Yeah, so I would say that this woman should be made a hero of Saudi Arabia, Zainab bint Al Harith. Do you know how many people's, yes, even though they killed her, do you know how many people's lives were probably saved by her doing that act? Many people were saved because of it.
Tens of thousands.
Yes,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Well, if
And I think
if you follow the standard narrative here, I mean, it was after Muhammad's death that you had the Ridda Wars, where they had to fight each other to make sure everybody stayed a Muslim because nobody wanted to stay a Muslim, evidently. People did, but I'm just saying you had the Ridda Wars of apostasy, and then you had Omar going out. It wasn't Abu Bakr, but Abu Bakr was the one that fought the Ridda Wars. He was the first caliph. Then you had Omar going out, and he started whacking people outside of Arabia. He's the one that actually went up into Jerusalem and sacked Jerusalem. He's the one that actually got to Cairo and sacked the was it Alexandria? Burned the library in Alexandria, for crying out loud. So even I think that, and I might have a little disagreement with you on this, George. I think that even if Muhammad had lived, you would still have seen the same amount of violence that was perpetuated. You wouldn't have got any more because, I mean, if you think about it, they went out and conquered all of North Africa, went into Spain, all the way up to France within 100 years, for crying out loud. They got far as east as the Hindu Kush, all through Persia, all through into the Stans and into India, for crying out loud, with 100 years. So, I mean, saving lives, I think you're probably right in the sense that as Muhammad got older, his revelations became more violent. And the prescriptions for these, if you get to chapter 9, which is the most violent verse, and the last verse, or I'm sorry, the last chapter, supposedly chronologically given to Muhammad, supposedly, is the most violent. And I could imagine that anything after that probably would have been if just as, or if not more violent. So you're probably right. I mean, if you come to think about it, but I mean, it was violent enough the way it was when they came out of. And I'm sorry, folks. I just had a sneezing fit here, and it sounds like I'm talking through my nose, and I apologize for that.
Yeah, once you weren't poisoned, you're okay.
The Queen might have stuck something on the mic here to make me sneeze, and I'll fix him. I spent all that time in there on that radio show.
Yeah. So let me go over this again, because sometimes the Muslims who hear these things get confused. They will admit that he was poisoned. What they will not admit to is that the poison eventually killed him. They contend that it's not scientific, and I've read what they say. They contend that it's not scientifically possible for someone to die slowly from the effects of poison. This is simply not true. They are, as with so many things that they say, they deny the clear facts. They say it's scientifically impossible. That's not correct.
But the guy died immediately, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. Because
right.
He ingested more of the poison.
Oh, well, how did they know? Does it say it? He ingested more than Muhammad did?
Well, you would have to, I guess. I don't know. I guess you would have to make that assumption.
Yeah, the hadith implies
that he's not hadith. Then that's not their religion. If they're assuming, right.
The hadith implies that the other person took who actually ate more and had a reaction, and then all of a sudden Muhammad has this revelation. It's not a prophecy if it's happening to you now. So he has this revelation that the food is dangerous.
Yeah.
Somebody had to die for him to have a revelation. So
So Isa is a mess here, or Islam is a mess, is a nurse, and he says it can lead to acute renal failure. I don't even know what that is. I mean, that doesn't even sound pleasant.
That's
Ogla.
Your kidneys get shot. That's what he's saying.
It what?
Acute renal failure is failure of your kidneys. That's what it is.
Okay, all right. And hemodialysis to correct. It needs hemodialysis. I'm thinking that's like dialysis through the blood. Blood, dialysis. Okay, cleansing of that. If not correct, can lead to chronic renal failure. Okay, so
I put that next one up that Islam RN put in, because I think that's probably more like I think that's my question is I didn't know if what we had that would exist back then, but lye as a cleanser. I mean, that's when you think about when we're talking about caustic materials. That's a good possibility. Lye did exist. We just don't think about it. So it's something to think about. This is something to think about.
Okay, well, here's what I know. I know that if the Queen or whoever, like if Katerina decided to cook me a meal and she poisoned me, she doesn't know that I have the Jamal right here, the camel urine. And I just take a sip of this and everything. Try it again. And I got this. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, and I the thing that was kind of surprising to me, George, was the widespread. I did not realize that there was widespread disagreement as to what caused the death of Muhammad. I would thought that this was everybody understood this, but what you're saying is that they believe that he did not die from the effects of the poison. And is there a reason why they would refuse to believe that he did not die from the effects from the poison?
Well, think about it. How could you accept that God's favorite prophet was killed by being poisoned like a rat. That doesn't sound very glorious. And of course, remember, they say that Jesus was not crucified either. So why would God allow his Jesus who was
It
just
seems like to
heralding
me like
Muhammad?
it seems
Jesus
to
was
me
just
like this.
You know
Okay,
what's
well,
humorous? I'm
let me
sorry.
just say this, Paul. Let me first say this, and then you can say, well, it seems to me like they just don't, despite what their own sources say, they just don't know for sure exactly what happened in this case. It seems to me like, well, we don't know what Aisha's age was. Really?
They know, they just
It says
don't
nine,
want
nine,
to
nine,
believe
nine,
it.
nine. Right, and they don't know that it was the poison that ultimately killed Muhammad, despite the fact that he ate a big chunk of it. And that isn't there a hadith that talks about them dragging him around with his legs
Yes,
hanging
absolutely,
behind him?
absolutely, absolutely.
Now,
Paul,
okay,
go ahead.
Paul, what were you going to say, Paul?
So the one thing, which I found interesting, actually, one of my last years there, I talked about it with my students. So we know how Jesus died. Does anybody know how Muhammad died? And I asked them. I says, "Do you want to? I mean, is anybody curious? Does anybody want to know?" And you read the hadith where it says, yeah, you read the hadith about the aorta, and you read the hadith about him the way he died, and the kids are like, "What?" Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and discuss that part about what the hadith says about the aorta being
my biggest
torn
issue
out.
is here. They don't tell the children this when they cover the face structures. They'll tell you how Jesus died. They'll tell you how a lot of other people died, but they will not tell you how Muhammad died because it refutes him as a prophet.
Okay, and how does it do that?
He's the one who said if his aorta was ripped out, that he's not a prophet. So that's all on him.
There is
Allah
you're
says
absolutely
that.
right. There, I think there's an aorta or an aorta. I think there's an aorta. I think there's a hadith that says something on the lines that if Allah,
it's in the Quran.
Is it in the Quran where it
Yes,
says that a false prophet will have their aorta cut out?
Yes, it's
Does
in
it
the
really?
Quran. Yes, sir.
I thought okay. Whoa.
It is
Okay, and what was Muhammad's dying statements? Oh, Aisha, I feel as if what?
My aorta is cut.
Is cut out.
Being cut off.
Now, wait a second. Didn't you just tell us a couple months ago that if you're a false prophet, I would cut out your aorta? Mm-hmm. And now what are you saying again? You must be talking about your kidneys, not your aorta. Good Lord. I don't think you get any more, a better demonstration of how false he was.
I love you. You're saying it in a nutshell. Muhammad was not resurrected. I love it.
Yeah, if you look at I couldn't make out, because I wasn't looking for pictures of, since we're talking about Muhammad's death, and I Google pictures and images, for the show. And if you go when you do that, you get a couple pictures of the Mosque of Muhammad in Medina, but I didn't know that is that his casket that is on display there? Does anybody know if that's what that is? If they still display his casket in Medina?
Yeah, I think it's in Medina. Yeah, it's in that.
Well, I know it's in Medina. I'm just saying, what's that?
Yeah, it's in a big room, and they've got a couple of them. One is supposed to be empty for Jesus when he comes back and dies. But yeah, there's one main one for Muhammad where they praise and worship Allah before Muhammad there.
I thought he was all upset that we built monasteries and churches dedicated to dead apostles, dead monks, dead bishops, dead popes. I thought there was something along the lines. He said that you shouldn't do that, but what the heck did they do there in Medina? They built one of the second biggest mosque in all of Islam over to the tomb of this guy. Yeah, that really works out well.
Well, it's the religion that keeps on deceiving, so.
Okay.
Yes,
Isa Masir,
hi,
remember,
hi.
shall protect you from the people. You know what I find fascinating, and which is kind of the irony in all of this, is that the lady who poisoned Muhammad was a Jew. Now, this was after the Battle of Khaybar. You know, the old saying, Khaybar, Khaybar, oh, Huda, we're coming for you, whatever it is. Look, it was Khaybar that got your prophet killed. It was
Yeah,
at Khaybar where him and his chums were so hungry, they said, well, yeah, that's a good idea. Let this woman here cook for us. And so I'm thinking that that might have something to do with the fact that they absolutely refused to admit that it was a Jew, actually a Jewess, who was
right.
actually responsible for his death. That might, that might even be a bigger, now that I start thinking about that, that might be even a bigger justification to deny what their
Ah,
own writings say, because it was a Jew who actually killed Muhammad, and it was
yeah,
after Khaybar where they had won this great victory, evidently.
yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point. Now think about it. The human that Muhammad discriminated against the most, he despised the most, was a woman, and a Jewish woman at that. You could be in his eyes, in the eyes of their thinking, in their theology, in their ideology, you could not be a lower human being than a woman, and a Jewish woman at that. Could not be lower. And that's the one that ended
Oh
up
yeah,
killing
because
him.
we actually just did a show Sunday on Muhammad's treatment of women, what his Sunnah prescribes how women should be treated, and actually what his God Allah describes how women should be treated. So that was that was almost painful. Sometimes you do research on things and you start reading through some of the passages, some of the hadith, some of the things in the Quran that they pertain to, and it just gives you this feeling of abject disgust. Now, I'm not okay. Listen, if Adam is listening, Adam Seeker, if he's listening to this, Adam, I love Adam to death. That what he does is just absolutely phenomenal. But he knows too many things about Islam that are absolutely disgusting. And when he comes on the show and he starts talking about these things, it makes you, for example, the thing that he came on one time and he was discussing how it wasn't about muta marriage, but it was about the prostituting women and then making it somehow like legal, like a legitimate. And so when you start researching, for things like that, it just makes you skin crawl. And when I was researching that for Sunday, some of the things that that Muhammad taught, that you should, you can beat your wives, you can plow them like they're a field, and all these other, it just makes your stomach hurt thinking that people actually believe that this guy sets a pattern of conduct for people to follow, or prescribes things that you can do. I mean, if you say women, the majority of souls in hell are women. Why? Well, because they're ungrateful to their husband. Why? Because the husbands spend money on their women. If you would, provide for yourself, the man wouldn't have to spend money. What kind of sense does that make? And so when we start thinking about, shows like this, where you look at, yeah, that's exactly what it is, Slam. This is just prostitution by contract. When you start, looking at something like this, well, how did Muhammad die? And you think of, okay, why would they deny something like this? Like, why deny Aisha is 9 years old? Well, it's just so embarrassing using contemporaneous standards. Well, this
Yeah,
would be
that's why they
so
change it.
so embarrassing that a Jewish woman would whack Muhammad. Eventually, she got her comeuppance, though, didn't she?
Right. Now, I've saved the coup de grace.
Uh-oh.
I've saved the coup de grace. Now, remember, they deny that he died from the effects of poison. And I believe he was 62 or 63, you asked earlier. 62 or 63 when he actually died. Now,
Right. I know. Yeah, I know his age. I just didn't know what the age he was when he was poisoned. That's what I was asking.
it was about 3 or 4 years earlier, so maybe
Okay.
about
Yeah, that makes
89.
sense.
So listen to this now. This is Sahih Bukhari, chapter 83, and this is it's book 64, hadith 450. Listen to this now. This is a direct quote from Aisha herself. This is a direct quote from the mother of the faithful. The Prophet, in the ailment in which he died, used to say to me, "Oh Aisha, I still feel the pain caused by the food I ate at Khaybar.
Right.
And at this time, I feel as if my aorta is being cut from that poison." So
There you go.
I wasn't there. I doubt if Eric was there, right?
And
Yeah,
what does
the
Allah say
imam
about
wasn't
that?
there. The
What
imam
does Allah
wasn't
say
there.
about the aorta being cut?
He said if
It's
you're a false prophet, your aorta will be cut.
yeah, it's 69. If he fabricated, I sent you that picture, Eric, in Facebook Messenger. It's
Okay.
69, ayah 44 through 47. I made you a little
Okay.
with meme on
All
it.
right. 69. Let me pull up. Where did we go? Quran 69. What was the verses again?
44 through 47.
Okay, let me pull it up here. Gosh, I hate sniffling. Sorry, folks. I know it's annoying. Okay, so let me share my screen so we show you this. Okay. And if Muhammad made up about us some false whoops, that's the
Wrong
wrong
picture.
screen. Sorry, Paul. I'm sharing your screen. Share screen. Play audio. Share screen. Bada bing, bada boom. Swat a swing. Come on, let's go. There we go. Nope, not there. There we are. Okay. And if Muhammad had made up about us some false sayings. Now, who is us here? Who is this? Who is the
A
us?
multi-god. A multi-god.
No. Okay, so why is it? I thought they taught Tawheed. What the heck is this?
Allah is one, right? But
Royal
he's
wheat, they say.
he's one of.
Made up
That's why I use us.
about us. Okay, false saying. 45. We would have seized him by the right hand. We would have seized him by the right hand. Oh, golly, I'm sorry, folks. Then we would have cut.
Then we
Right.
would have cut him, cut from him
Sorry.
the aorta, the life, his life artery, his artery of his heart. Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to mute myself. I'm sorry.
It says something
It's
when
it's it's it's
Now read
it's
the
not
rest.
it's not
Read the
Tawheed.
rest.
It's Taweed, baby. They be smoking that Taweed.
you know, it
Now
always
read the rest.
amazes me that the Quran, defies itself so many times when they say they can't accept the Trinity, but they keep putting the word us in for when they're referring as a personal pronoun to their God.
That's the royal we, although it never existed until the 15th century.
Like, right.
Let's,
That shows
yeah,
you
let's
probably how young Islam really is.
Well,
well,
this is how
go ahead,
lies
George.
are. This is how lies are. You can't
Yeah.
keep the story straight, right? That's really what's going on. That's why they contradict themselves and contradict their own sources. As Aisha, who was there, who is supposed to be the mother of the faithful, her statement, she was there with him when he died. She was right there with Muhammad when he died. And she reports him as saying that it's the effect of the poison that's killing him, and he feels as if his aorta is being cut. That's what she says. So who should we believe? Modern day Islamic apologists or the mother of the so-called faithful?
Well, it
It's
depends
supposed
on
to
who
be.
you talk to, because the modern day Muslim apologists deny an awful lot of
About
things,
10 books. Yeah,
and
they got 10 books.
we've seen it. Yeah, you had 10 books to include the
They got
Encyclopedia
10 books.
Britannica or whatever the heck it was.
No,
Yeah, and so that must refute it. But this is the type of scholarship that they do with the Bible too.
Well, don't forget about Time Magazine, Newsweek,
Of course,
and
yeah, of course, all those reputable rags. But this is the type of scholarship they also use on the Bible. They'll find some liberal scholar that has spent a lot of time studying the Bible, and then they'll get an opinion of that from him, and then use that to try to discredit the Bible. For example, of course, they always talking about Bart Ehrman, may Allah be pleased with him, saying everything Bart Ehrman is, just as good as gold. But then and the inconsistency, this is what really bothers me, is the inconsistency that they have, because they'll use Bart Ehrman to say, well, Bart Ehrman says, and he's a New Testament scholar, one of the most popular today, that we don't know who wrote the New Testament. Yes,
he's not
that's
popular.
What
I mean, I don't know where he's popular, because I'd never heard his name until you started using him.
Well, he's popular in a lot of liberal circles. He really is. He's done a lot of debates. I mean, he's debated Dan Wallace quite a few times. And with the Muslims, and the thing is, he's really popular with the Muslims because they'll latch on to that. Oh, well, we don't know who wrote the Gospels. The Gospels developed over time. But then they'll completely ignore, and this is where I'm saying that they're so inconsistent. This is why they will not, they won't even follow their own hadith, the teachings from their own hadith, the plain reading of them. But Bart Ehrman comes out and says the most attested to event of Christ's life is his death on a cross, which completely contradicts what the Quran teaches itself. So when you start asking about the consistency of how did Muhammad die, well, they're going to try to deny it. Well, why? Why would they do that? Well, because it's a very shameful way to die. He died as George said, a poisoned rat. Nobody wants their prophet of all time to die like a poisoned rat. Nobody wants their prophet, the greatest prophet of all time, to be poisoned by a Jew. I mean, we can't have a Jew, and even a woman at that, be responsible for his death. It's just absolutely ridiculous in their inconsistency in their application of their own scripture, too, of their own writings, how they completely ignore that, and how they always try to, the ones that are embarrassing, what they'll always try to do is they'll try to find some way to discredit them. The guy was old, don't you see, when he recited this hadith, and, we all know that he had memory problems, don't you see, that's one. What about the rest of them? So it's frustrating, and I can see the level of frustration that people have when you start discussing controversial things that are controversial in Islamic circles, such as this.
But Aisha didn't. Aisha was young enough to remember. She didn't have no problems with her memory.
Well, quit making sense. I mean, that's what the heck? Yeah, she was 9. She had a good memory then.
But
Well,
they
she didn't know
run
how
from
old
her
she was.
then.
Well, and then the other thing
They
was
have to lie about their own Islamic sources, which is so sad.
It is, and I would think that if you embrace your faith that much and you go out and you talk about it as much as you do, you wouldn't try to disparage it as much as you do. That's what really bothers me. Okay, I'm going to give a plug for Dr. Kufar Phobia here. He is okay. Can you come up on mic and tell us what you're doing with all this? He's got like 50,000 different coffee mug styles, T-shirt styles.
I'm just bored, so I'm playing around with my graphics program. This is for my Canadian brothers and sisters.
Okay, what does that say?
It says, "Stop tyranny, support the truckers, dump the turd."
And the turd
Amen.
is Trudeau.
Trudeau.
Yep.
Yeah, there was
over there.
Hey, there was a YouTube video. I don't know if you guys saw this, where a guy is pulled over by a police officer in
Was that a truck? A guy inside a truck?
Yeah, he's got a green truck, and on the side of it, he's got a picture of somebody flipping off Trudeau, or it says they give him the finger. I'm sorry to do that. Sorry about that. But they're giving the finger that says Trudeau. I know. Well, watch that YouTube video. And what they did was they bring another like a Suburban, because the cop's behind him, and he's in this green pickup truck, and this lady, she's filming all this on her cell phone. She's talking to me like, look, they've had me about here 20 minutes. So they bring in this other truck, and this other truck parks in front, or pulls in front of him and starts backing up, and it's like it's almost going to hit his truck. So the guy backs up.
It did hit him. It did hit him.
Oh, it did hit his truck. Okay.
Yeah, it tapped him. That's when
he backs up. And then he tries to pull out to get out of the way. And they get out of the truck. They get out of the Suburban. And they drag his butt out, throw him on the concrete, and cuff him.
They also, the cop also really slammed into his truck as he was backing up then. At first, he taps him. That's what caused the dude to back up. And then they just really haul off and just slam into his truck, damaging it, disabling it.
Well, it looked to me like he was pulling up. Well, it looked to me like he was pulling up. But regardless of that, you don't back into somebody and then get all pissy with them. It
was a setup, yeah. These are Trudeau's thugs.
Yeah, this is what's going on in Canada. We're
going to have to... you flip the bird, just because you flip the bird.
Well, right? Think about what we have here in the United States. We have Let's Go Brandon. I mean, it doesn't get any more insulting than that. The problem, I think the difference is that there's much more people agree with Let's Go Brandon in the United States than they do with flipping off the Prime Minister in Canada.
Did you guys discuss the breaking news from Camp CCTV?
Yeah, we did that at the very beginning. Yeah. Okay. Hey. Okay. Okay. So Chris wanted to know: can we trust what Beholdergaard put out there? Because I was looking at it, and it looked to me like he is at some official government site. I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, you can go to it. It's a nursing site of Texas. I don't know how he found it, but he went there to look her up, and he looked her up, and it's her. It's definitely her.
Okay, so he's not just making this up. I mean, this isn't just like Kenny made up a GoFundMe page, and I got all this evidence. This is the real deal.
No, this is real. I went to link myself. I'm flagging somebody mute or something that's going on. Can you guys mute yourselves?
No, I didn't mute. Do you mute?
I got echo. I'll come back.
All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and move into the third stage. Hey, George, did you have anything else that you wanted to say here tonight? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay. No, I think that clarifies it. I think what is clear, based on their most trusted sources, this is Sahih Bukhari for just to be very clear.
Did I freeze?
So
can you guys hear me?
Oh, big source. Yes, we can hear you, Eric.
Yeah. So
okay, sorry.
You can hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, George.
Okay, we can hear you.
Yeah. So I'm saying that using their most trusted sources, from his own poisoned lips, the poison was killing him. Mm-hmm. Only 2 people were there when he was dying, as far as we know, him and Aisha. Only she came out of the room alive. And she said that he said the poison was killing him. I don't need to hear the view of any modern day Muslim apologist. I need to hear what the people who were there had to say. Only she can speak, and she tells us what he was saying just before he died. So
okay, so if this, for example, let's say go ahead, George. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's clear that he died from the effects of poison. Poison does not have to kill you immediately, as one of our medical professionals here said.
A couple of them there's 2 or 3 of them that we have in there that actually said that. I think Chloe Wake put in there, and Swam RN, and then Islam Isames put it. All of them are certified in the medical field, and they all said the same thing. Okay.
Right. So I mean, this idea, this fallacy that Muslims have that poison has to kill you immediately is not true. It's not correct. It's not accurate. You can die slowly from the effects of poison, and that's exactly what happened to Moise. And I believe it's justice for all the suffering he caused on people.
Hey, George, do you know what's exciting about what you just said to a social studies teacher? Do you know what's exciting? You just talked about the importance of primary sources. And for us retired, for the retired social studies teachers, it's something I dream of having my students talk about. I mean, I actually do. I mean, tell them to go get the real information. We always are teaching our kids that. I mean, there's not a social studies teacher in this country. Well, if they do, they're not real teachers. They're they have their own mind, and that's about all they exist in. But social
they
studies
teach CRT is what they teach.
Yeah, that's what they teach. They don't teach reality.
So yeah, a joke for you guys. What does a wife eater, a morphine addict, and a crackhead have in common? They're all part of the CCTV crew.
I was just okay. Thank you. All right.
I was just going to guess CNN.
Well,
that too.
Yeah. Well, they would have to have somebody that does lewd things on Zoom calls too. If you're going to do that,
no, that would be child molester. Well, that's probably not too far. We'll probably hear about that soon.
Isn't that the pedophile network we're talking about?
Getting back to this, no, it's a legit site. You guys can go to it, click the link, put in her name. It's going to pull her records up. She's also a nurse in Tennessee as well. Nothing there. It's funny because all her problems started in 2019 when she met Kenny. When she started hanging out with Kenny online. That's when she started stealing the morphine. Now, look, there could be a perfectly logical reason.
Okay, this is as recent as 2019?
I believe so, yeah, I believe so.
This isn't like something 10 years ago.
Actually, I got the report, I think, right now on my computer still. Yeah. Oh, no, wait. Hold on a second. Let me see here. Hold on. Let me see here. Responded waiver. Yada. No, sorry, 2017. So I'm mistaken. Yeah, she, okay. On or about January 2017.
Even then, I mean, that's 4 years ago, for crying out loud.
Right.
I mean, that's.
Now, there could be a perfectly good reason, why she took out 4 milligrams and a 2 milligram vial morphine and did not administer it to the patient. Actually, it says respondent conduct was likely to injure the patients, and that subsequent caregivers would rely on her documentation to further medicate the patients, which could result in an overdose. So maybe she did, I'm thinking, maybe, what were they, Jews? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they were dirty Catholic homophobes. That's what when I first read that, that's what I was thinking, I wasn't thinking she was a junkie. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, exactly. Hey, you're in pain, you're dying, screw you. I'm taking this morphine for myself. Anyway, employed as a registered nurse. At Houston, Texas responder. Okay, that's no, she did it again. Oh, she did it multiple times. Okay.
I thought he said it was only twice. I thought in the video he always said he did it twice.
Yeah. Well, she got caught for doing it twice. So,
I'm
Okay.
I'm going to go so far, Red, as to say that if they brought it to the board, it's something caught repeatedly before they go.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Because this isn't like, that you get a reprimand or anything. I mean, this is something going after your license.
Well, it's worse than that, because that means that they have been disciplined 3 or 4 times before they go that far.
Exactly.
And then they're scared about the reason they go that far is because they are scared of the facility having an action taken against them.
Exactly, they're protecting themselves. So here's what we got. Here's what she also did. Texas falsely documented the administration of 3 1-liter bolus of normal saline in a.
I knew there was something about that. Okay, I remember him saying something. What did they do with that?
So evidently, she falsely documented the administration of 3 1 liters of normal saline in medication ministry record. They give the patient's record number. The respondent admitted to false documentation to the nurse manager and charged nurse respondent's conduct creating an inaccurate medical record and failure to administer medication as ordered by a physician could have resulted in non-efficient treatment. Oh, and it gets worse, dude. On 2018.
Hold on. Wait. A saline solution is just kind of like a drip liquid, correct? To keep you hydrated.
Right. Yeah, okay. It's just saline water. Okay, but no. So here we have then again on 2018, with the patient. Now listen to this. Respondent handed the patient's son an IV and tourniquet and instructed him to attempt the IV placement. Subsequently, the patient's son attempted an IV but was not successful. Respondent could have exposed unnecessary risk and harm. Think about it. Okay. So like I said, when I first read this, I thought she was deliberately either trying to kill Jews or Islamophobes or make them suffer. I was not thinking that she was a junkie. I have since changed my mind on this because this is showing a pattern of conduct. You know, maybe there are perfectly good logical reasons for this. Okay, all right. But listen to this on April 10th, 2018. Okay. She leaves her duties and disappears for 40 minutes and fails to give a report.
I brought that up. Because I remember hearing that. Because that's just like, for me, Army guy. That's just like basic. You know, you never leave your post. You never do that. If you're in charge, it's like leaving a classroom and saying, okay, all 35 of y'all, just hang out. I'm going down the hall. I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee. I'm tired of being in here with you. Paul, could you imagine what would happen to you if you just walked out of the classroom and said, I didn't feel like being in there with them?
Well, anyway, I shared this with I shared this with a nursing friend of mine. Oh, what happened? Echo. You guys mute yourselves? Eric, mute yourself. Everyone mute. Mute yourself, Eric. Mute yourself. Okay, does that help? No, it doesn't. I still got this echo. Whatever. Anyway.
I don't know what's wrong with you, man.
I'm taking off my headset while I talk so I don't have to hear me.
Oh, that's better.
So as I was saying, I shared this with a nursing friend of mine the other day, and she's like, you know what? This definitely sounds like, she's a junkie because there's a pattern. Okay, that saline solution. Okay, what these nurses will do is they'll steal the medication, okay, the morphine, and then act like they're giving the morphine to a patient, but instead of giving the morphine, they're just giving saline solution. Okay, so they're not giving the medication. Not only that, but her thing of just disappearing for 40 minutes, that sounds like to me that she went to an empty room and was nodding off and just couldn't make the work because she just shot up. Not only that, okay, but then you have her, was she too stoned? Okay, to properly place an IV that she gave it to the patient's son to try and do because she was too high. You know what I mean? So all these things tend to lead, okay, tend to lead me to believe that. Now maybe there are perfectly good explanations.
Well, that's the thing. I don't want to make I don't want to make any type of allegations that she was the only reason why I brought it up is because
either way she's a horrible nurse.
Well, the only reason why I brought it up was because here you have a woman and a ex-con telling everybody that and threatening and saying, we're going to come to your school district and we're going to get you fired because you're a threat to children, with no evidence whatsoever that is the case. None. Zero. Zippo. Zilch. And how do I know this? Because I've been in the classroom for 14 years.
Kenny wasn't there.
I know. Right. But I know that they have nothing there. And I know there's no paperwork at all because I know I haven't done anything wrong. Where these two hypocrites, and this is what just chafes my hide is that they're sitting there leading this charge, getting fired. He's a danger to society. It's a danger to these children when they themselves demonstrably have harmed other people or are capable of committed these acts which have caused people to not receive the proper care, have spent time in jail for beating your wife, or whatever it is.
He didn't beat his wife. He only punched her in the forehead.
Okay,
Eric, the correct term here, once again, is projection.
Yep.
No, that's true. You're exactly right, Paul. That's exactly what it is. It's projecting their own faults onto somebody else because they don't like what somebody else is saying about their false problem.
Yes.
That's exactly what
they
it is.
just lie. You know,
well, I'm
just
thinking we should go to Texas and pick up this hospital with bullhorns and signs and her picture and her medical records and tell everybody that goes in there, if you get treated by Nurse Street Ramen, go get your street ramen someplace else because that stuff ain't any good. I'm just saying.
That would just be mean. That really would be.
I would like to jump in here on this what kind of nurse you'd call her? Angel of Death or whatever you want to call her.
Yeah, I thought she was an angel of death, but maybe she's just a junkie. I don't know.
You know, in my few interactions with her, she never rubbed me the right way. And we need to recognize something. You cannot rise higher than your God. And I'm saying that just looking at their character, the things they do, and how they treat people is a clear indication to me as to who her true God is. This God, Allah, is a God of lies, is a God of deceit, is a God of wickedness. I'm not surprised. With this information that's coming out about her.
Well, there's a lot of truth in what you say. This is exactly the fruits that you would expect from somebody that follows that type of ideology. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's
well. Hey, I got some more to share with you guys. I'm going to share my screen here. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me see here. No, I want a window. No, I don't want a window. All right,
we're gonna be. Hey, as soon as we get done here, Red, we're gonna be moving into what? Oh my gosh, dude, you got to show that. Okay, all right, never mind.
Yeah, because I got a question for you guys, dude. Who are these two guys with Kenny? Okay, I mean, I'm thinking one of them at least is the guy, the founder of his Water Wells project. Do you guys remember seeing any videos where he shared that video? Because if it is, if these two guys are the Water Wells project guys that he's been sending all this money to, allegedly, to build these over expensive water wells that cost over $1,000 when we did one for like $150. Then I think we know where the money went. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. I mean, can we confirm that? Can you guys go and scour the internet and see if these two are the water well project guys?
I don't. Where would you have? Where would somebody begin looking for that?
I don't know. Go to we'll have to figure that out. But yeah, I'm seriously, I'm pretty sure I've seen them guys before, and I think it was on Kenny's show where he was talking to them about the Water Wells project.
If they're digging water, I don't.
Dude, I'm trusting nothing in this dude.
I get it, but when you start saying, okay, he's drilling water wells for people that need water, if the people who he's contracting with are banking a little more, than what they should get,
I'm saying they paid for him to go into Israel for 5 weeks or whatever, do whatever he wants to do. You know what I mean? That's an expensive trip, dude.
Yeah, well, I don't have to tell me that. I know it's not cheap to do that.
All right, we'll do. Who sent me a message?
Could they be his coworkers since they're in front of the Dome of the Rock? Could they just be two of his coworkers?
I don't know.
That flew with them. Okay.
I don't know. Well, we don't even know why he's there.
Is that Dome of the Rock is a shrine to Antichrist? Is exactly what that thing is. It's not even a mosque.
Of course it is.
It's supposed to be a monument built to commemorate Muhammad's night journey on his shiny pony, but it doesn't say anything on the inner and outer emblem. It says, "Say not three." Jesus was only a prophet.
I believe Kenny says I believe Kenny says in the debate he doesn't know if Muhammad took the night journey. I think he does say that. Somebody asked him a question in Q&A. So
yes, he
Kenny,
did say. You're correct. He did say that. That kind of caught my eye too.
So that's kind of funny there.
Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into the last topic for the show. If you guys don't, unless you guys have anything you want to add. I mean, Red, I know you came in late. Did you have anything that you wanted to add to this?
Just that we got to have a convoy. We got to go down to Houston, Texas. We got to bring bullhorns and signs and pick it outside, because she said, standards, professional standards. She was perfectly willing to have Kenny do that and everybody do that to you, actually promoting it and justifying it. So, you know what? I'm saying, yeah. No, these patients need to know that they're getting the level of care they're getting from this woman could be, dangerous to their health. I'm just saying.
Based on demonstrable past conduct, and that's the key thing. We know that she did. There's nothing that. Okay.
No.
All right. All right. My voice is fading on me. All right, Paul. We're going to talk about tonight. We're Sunday, according to Paul. As a matter of fact, Paul, I'm just going to let you discuss this, and I'll chime in when I need to. Okay, go ahead.
So I'm now posting my videos to Rumble. So for those of you who are looking for why I'm not up, I got 2 strikes from YouTube bots that consider when you talk about Islamic hate, you are now a proponent of hate speech. So even when you cite sources and prove your, and again, if you see my presentations, I always put my sources up. That now makes me a hater on YouTube, so I'm not allowed to post on YouTube until March. So if you go to Rumble, you can see where I'm putting up this week. This Thursday, I'm going to do a live cast Rumble, which will be my first. So this past week we talked about Canada and Islamophobia, and right after we did this, almost immediately after. There was a Eunice Cathrada out of I think it's British Columbia. It could be Alberta. I have to stop and think. Decided to tell everybody how great Islam is and that it's supreme. And we caught this video. So I shared it with Eric, and it just tells us how superior. I shouldn't say superior, but how they imagine it. And it's not you know what I find humorous about this? This guy who claims to be an imam, who claims to be a leader, you don't hear him quoting from the Quran. I mean, if you know what you know, you should back it up with scripture. I'm not saying he did. Again, he's not doing that, and he spends all his time doing that. And I find this humorous in that respect. But he backed up the reasons to call Islam dangerous. So if you could play that, Eric. I think you need to boost the sound.
I don't know how. Can you pause it, Paul?
Al-Islam is superior.
Okay. Can you guys hear that? Can you? Okay.
It's pretty low.
I mean, I could hear it with my
whoever
Superman
shared
hearing.
it.
Well, how do I boost the sound? I don't know how to boost the sound.
It's whoever shared it.
Over all other religions, although those who associate others with Allah detest that. They don't want Islam to prevail over all religion. You know, when I look at these ayat, when I read them, and when I ponder these ahadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it becomes so clear to me why the non-Muslims are actively fighting against Islam, why they are afraid of Islam. It is as though they believe in these texts more than we do. They know for a fact that Islam is superior. And they are afraid that you and I will now begin to adhere to Islam. That makes them scared. Because if we now start applying the laws of Allah in our lives, well, it means their demise. It means that they will be defeated. The day we go back to the Quran and the authentic sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that is the day Muslims will dominate. This is what they are afraid of. They are afraid of al-Islam. In this other hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us that the religion, that is al-Islam, will reach everywhere the night and day reach. In other words, there isn't a place on the face of this earth except that Islam will reach it. The opponents of Islam, they know these texts are true. It is as though they believe in them more than we ourselves believe.
Did you hear the baby say no?
This
No.
is why they tirelessly oppose al-Islam. Anything to do with the laws of Islam, oh, this is backwards. This is not suited for this time and age. This is oppression, and so on and so forth. We hear it day in and day out.
Hold on before this goes off. So hold on, let me do one more thing here. I want to give you right back to the title screen here. Look at this title screen. And you heard a child there, a baby there. Are we talking about sex with minors?
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Not only that, but you heard the baby say when he said Islam is the truth. And the baby says, no.
Well, you notice the projection, the attempt at projection. They are afraid. They believe it's all true. Okay, go ahead.
I'll go. We're not saying it's true, but this is where I feel greatly honored at joining Dr. Kufarphobia, because joining him in his work, it's been, like I say, it's been an honor, because we're going through this Quran line by line, what we would call in Christian circles exegetical teaching, going through the scriptures line by line, word by word, and we're asking common sense, critical thinking questions, which again in Christianity we call that exegetical teaching. You don't find that done. So, and this is where I'm laughing at this guy, because not once did he refer to an Islamic scripture to get his point across. And this is something we should all be concerned about, that all these Muslim preachers, imams, or whatever, or brother, or whatever they want to call themselves, do not use this information. And that to me is serious, that no one's holding them accountable. They just have this title and they get to get away with it.
Yes. Can I just jump in here very quickly, Paul?
Yes.
We do not believe that Islam is true or the Quran is true. We believe it's
correct,
obviously, patently, clearly false. What we are saying to Muslims is, and why we keep referring to these, we say, look at your own sources. Your own sources condemn Islam. That's what we're saying. It's not because we believe it's right, it's because we believe it's clearly false.
Well, Dr. Kufarphobia has right now on his screen something we owe to XYZ. Do you want to talk about it, Dr. Kufar?
Oh, okay. I think, what was it? Last show, the show before that, XYZ said that the Quran, because we're talking about the clear, detailed, explained book. And so far, me and Paul, we're halfway through chapter 5. We haven't found anything that's clear, detailed, and explained. That doesn't leave you scratching your head and saying, I'm not even going to say it here because it's R-rated. You're just like, who put this book together? Was it like a little 3-year-old? So he came up with the Quran, the clear as mud book. So I made a meme out of it, and I gave him credit on the meme.
I'm having one of the things we just talked about going through chapter 5 is Adam has children, and one of them they did a sacrifice. Nobody knows what the sacrifice was. I should say an offering to God. No one knows what that is. No one knows the names of the children of Adam. Believe me, they're not there. When we're reading this passage, nothing. There's no mention of Cain or Abel. There's no mention of what they brought. In fact, there's like a threat in there too. I'm going to kill you, and you're not sure who's talking to who, and you can't get a better explanation than this clear as mud stuff. And the other thing I just want to let people know again, I will be on Thursday on. I'm not allowed to post to here. Let me see if I can. You want to look up if you look for the Sutlifian report, you'll find past videos. And I cannot remember my Rumble name. I'll look it up in a few minutes. But we're gonna do a broadcast, my first live broadcast of Rumble. There I don't get strikes for telling the truth. Only YouTube is protective of Islam or protective of Allah.
I always say it's a religion with an affirmative action program in the media, and it truly is. I mean, any criticism of it is called to some type of phobia, some type of bigotry, some type of racism, and then all praise of it is the only accepted mantra. And then they have the unmitigated gall to say that they don't get a fair shake in the media. It's absolutely ridiculous.
When you can. I'll put.
Who is this? Who's got a hot mic?
That might be me. I'll double check it. That might be me. Sorry about that.
I think that is you. Okay, there's a couple things that I wanted to say. Okay, there's a couple things that I wanted to say about that video. You notice that he says, "Okay, we are afraid." Can you guys hear me? He's saying that we are afraid of Islam. Now, this is what we call a mantra. This is if you keep saying this, keep projecting this. You keep projecting this on people, saying that they're afraid of Islam. They believe, what was it? They are frightened of Islam. They know Islam is superior. Notice the language that he's using. And that once they start applying Islam, they know that we know that our demise is near. Why? Because they're going to have such a superior, this is what I glean from it, they're going to have such a superior mode of conduct that everybody's going to want to emulate it.
You're right.
And it's just a bunch of bunk is all it is. It's nothing but lie on top of lie on top of lie. Number one, nobody is afraid of Islam. We're not afraid of Islam at all. We're not Islamophobic. We do not have an unwarranted fear of Islam. We do not have an unwarranted fear of Muslims. The only thing that I would fear is people wanting to use the Sharia to try to deny me my civil liberties, my rights as a human being and as an American. That is what I do fear. I fear that based on what they've said, well, the Sharia is already here, that you would want to apply the Sharia in my country. You can take your Sharia and stuff it up your oil well. It's not, you're not going to bring that here. Not as long as, you have people that have a platform. It's not going to happen. So he also said, we know that their texts are true. No, we know that your texts are false. You keep trying to tell us that they're true, but don't provide any evidence that they give us any reason to believe otherwise. This guy is he's a shill, is what he is.
But the biggest issue here is this is a guy who speaks to teenagers, and teenage, in young 20s, those are the impressionable minds. They're seeking truth, and that's the time period in your life where you really are hard out to find out what is true, and that helps you create an identity for yourself. And yet, this man is out there telling them this stuff, and Islam is going to reign supreme. And what does that mean to them? This is also the guy that calls for jihad in Canada. You can
Whoa.
go to memory and you can find stuff where he tells them this. So why he's allowed to actually stay in the country is beyond me. Why they haven't taken his leadership roles from him is beyond me. But again, my suggestion is, if you want to know more, look him up. Eric Brazeau does a lot on this gentleman. So do the Canadians have a reason to fear Islam is what I would say after listening to this. And again, reasonable fear is not a phobia.
Yes, can I say something on that? Let me jump in there quickly. You ask a very good question. Do Canadians have a reason to fear Islam? I would say yes and no. No, because the average Muslim is better than Muhammad. The average Muslim is better than Muhammad.
Right.
So from that perspective, no. But if
the average Muslim can read at least one language.
That was true. But when we read their material, look, I'm telling you something. If they read their material and believe it, they become someone that the country should fear. That's what I'm saying to you. Their material.
This is. I agree with you 100%, 120%, George. I think my biggest issue. I'm not talking about Muslims or individuals or people. I'm talking about what the ideology teaches, nothing more. And my preference for what I would describe this as is nothing more than a faith structure. That's what I don't like the term religion anymore because
it's an ideology.
Too broad. Yeah. And these are structures. So, what do we kick out? What pillar do we kick out to, let it fall? Well, one of the pillars that can get kicked out that we could be teaching in every public school in America is how Muhammad died. I mean, that's why that was a great topic for today, and thank you. I love this topic. I still remember the faces of my kids. And I read the hadith where it said, or was it the Quran scripture where it says, if I'm a false prophet, Allah will rip out my aorta. And what is he saying at the end?
I feel as if my aorta is being cut out of my chest. Yeah.
He's just saying that Muhammad said that. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't even know that she, when I read that, I reflected back and I said, does she actually know that he said he would be a false prophet? My belief is she didn't have a clue about the previous statement. Because I don't think she would have said anything that would make him look bad. Not intentionally.
No, and being that people that did say anything that made him look bad, they ended up getting themselves killed really quick. I mean, how many people? We got over 40 different instances where he has people killed for insulting him. So it's not hard, any stretch based on the company. I mean, I don't even go down that rabbit hole. So just forget I said that. Rad, you got your screen there that you want to share for some reason or what? What's going on with this?
Yeah, I want to play a video, take us out. I think it would take us out with a smile on our face. It's kind of funny.
Well, we're not ready to close out yet because Paul had something on the screen that he wanted to share.
I can share it.
We can close out. I mean, we've been here an hour and a half. We don't have to stay for 2 hours.
No.
Well, no, let Paul go. Paul
all right.
I thought we was ending.
Okay.
All right.
this week, Jihad Watch put this article up as a source, and I thought it was hilarious. It's in Premium Times. I believe this is I didn't exactly check which country it was from, but it says Friday's sermon. Islam endorses capital punishment for social stability by this guy Murtadha Gusau. The Quran establishes killing is forbidden. Yeah, like where? But has clearly established conditions under which capital punishment may be enacted. Okay. When you read this
right
again,
there, it's spreading mischief in the land. It's right there.
Yeah. So spreading mischief in the land, the second crime for which capital punishment can be applied. I had a lot of fun reading this, and then I responded to it. That's why I wanted to share it. So he writes, spreading mischief in the land can mean different things, but it's generally...
Can't see it. Can't see it. Thank you.
Go ahead, Paul. I just taken off the screen.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. Spreading mischief in the land, it can mean different things, but it is generally interpreted to refer to those crimes that affect community as a whole and destabilize society. Then he writes in the name of Allah, so I'm not going to bother with that stuff, but he goes on, all perfect praise to somebody, name starts with A, the Lord of the worlds. Okay. I testify that there is none worthy, blah, blah, blah. Dear brothers and sisters, today, the question of whether to apply capital punishment for unusually severe or heinous crimes is a moral dilemma. So he doesn't read the Quran? He doesn't read the Hadith?
Right.
Or is he protecting Allah? So my belief here is that he's protecting Allah. So here he goes on. The Quran establishes that killing is forbidden, but clearly establishes conditions under... It doesn't do that. He writes down, if anyone kills a person, unless it's for murder, again, notice this dash, this double dash, all right? That is important to understand. Unless it's for murder for spreading mischief in the land, double dash, it would be as if he killed all people. That's actually, this phrase actually is talking about Jews killing people. That's all it's, he didn't tell anybody that.
He doesn't. Okay. Right. Notice how he notice. Okay. Notice. Okay. Go ahead and finish that thought, Paul. I'm sorry. Go
ahead. So he deceived the people because he's protecting Allah. He goes on. Life is sacred.
No. Let's go back. Hold on. Go back to 532. Notice how he leaves off the front of the verse.
Yes.
Because the front of the verse says, as we have prescribed for the Jews. This has nothing to do with the Muslims. If anyone kills a person, it has nothing to do with it. This is for the Jews. Second thing is, we know where this verse came from. It didn't come from Allah. It came from a Jewish rabbi. This is Midrash Sanhedrin 9.5 stuff. Third thing, read the very next verse. The very next verse, what does it say? If people do commit corruption in the land, you kill them, you crucify them, you cut their hands and feet off at opposite ends.
People like Eric Smith, who's spread corruption in the land.
Exactly. Yeah.
Again, this is an imam who published in a major news source of. I'm gonna go back and double check which country this is in, but I mean, I'll put the link up later. I think I may have had it already. I'm sorry. And he's putting up misinformation to protect Allah. He's got to protect Allah. What is this? I mean, what kind of a God do you serve that you got to protect him?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if he's protected, he ain't God.
Yeah. So this goes on. Islamic philosophy. Oh, wait a minute. I thought it was theology. Holds that a harsh punishment serves as a deterrent to serious crimes. We're talking about Haddad here. According to Islamic law, in the first verse quoted above, that again, he lied. He gave misinformation. Let's go on. Intentional murder. Okay, so the Quran legislates the death penalty for murder is available through. He's misinformed. There is a death penalty for intentional murder, unless you're killing unless the person who did the killing is mentally incompetent, or a child, or the person that's done the killing has killed a non-Muslim, or the person who did the killing was a parent killing their child.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk about any of that here.
No, leaves that part out. Sorry.
Yeah. And you can read that all in Reliance of the Traveler if you don't believe me. Crimes that have fallen under this description: treason, apostasy, terrorism. You notice he has apostasy towards the top there. Land, sea, or air piracy. You know what? Land, sea, and air piracy actually agree with Islam, so I don't think that's actually close to accurate. Armed banditry. No. Armed banditry, they cut out your hands. Armed robbery, again, they cut off your hand. He's not telling the truth here. Rape, they would kill you. But again, how many witnesses do you have to have? Was it 3 men?
4.
Four, actually, yeah, four.
4 men. So how many people commit an act of rape in front of? I mean, a gang. They're not going to tell on each other. It's not going to happen.
Right.
Homosexual behavior. Again, he's not telling the full truth, and he's hiding. He's protecting Allah. So I'm just going to skip a little farther down. This is what it is. He is the Murtahada Muhammad Gosau, is the chief imam of Nagazi, and it says he's in Nigeria. So I put this up. And
email him, invite him to the show.
Yeah, I think this is hilarious. So here's what I wrote to the paper. The imam is not being wholly truthful in stating that the Quran establishes that killing is forbidden. He clearly hides and abuses the Quran, abuses the Quran's call for killing Jews and non-believers, which equates to non-Muslims. There are several verses in the Quran that reveal this leader of Islam is deceptive in his claim. Look at Surah 2, 190 to 191, and engage in the war for sake of Allah against those who engage in war against you, and do not transgress. Surely Allah does not love transgressors, and kill them wherever you find them, and get them out from where they got you out. Surah 9:5. So when the forbidden months are past, so kill the polytheists wherever you find them, and take them as captives, and besiege them, and lay in wait for them in every kind of ambush. Islam includes Christians as polytheists because it claims they believe in 3 gods, thus committing shirk. Why does this imam feel he must protect Allah? Are these not Allah's words? What does it mean when a leader of Islam lies to keep the believers ignorant? Isn't this the opposite of what Jesus taught? He taught the law of God was summarized in 2 commandments that he gave. From Matthew 22, 37 to 40, Jesus said this: you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. The second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself. The entire law and all the demands of the prophets are based on these 2 commandments.
Amen.
So that is now posted underneath this article, and they let me post it there, and there's other people who responded. So I found it humorous, but that's me. And this guy, I've seen his picture numerous places. So he thinks he's something, and that's where I kind of find it humorous. I just don't see it.
Let me just make a quick point here. What Paul is saying, this is not the words of an Islamophobe. All you have to do is go to the countries where this kind of thing is practiced and see what they do. Do they practice love and tolerance for non-Muslims? Or if we were to go to Pakistan and preach this, we would all be dead. That just, Jesus said, by their fruits, you will know them. And I'm saying, in the countries where these rules, this religion, this ideology is dominant, what happens? It's exactly as Paul described it.
My big concern is that, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Paul. I'll wait.
Again, my big concern here is that we now have exposed an imam who lies to protect Allah. Is this happening at your local mosque?
Oh, of course it is. Of course it is.
Now it says that he's from Nigeria. Now, is this guy part of the Boko Haram up north, or did it say, or you don't know?
They don't mention that, but I have seen his picture in numerous places, and I wish I could remember where, but again,
should send him an
he's
email.
Making the news.
Invite him to the show.
Yeah, that's an idea.
You know what? I will send a post to invite to join us. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Ask him to come on. He can explain to us why he's dotting in 532, trying to hide the fact of the verse's application. Also, and I noticed this is one thing that he did say, because he gives 2 reasons for capital punishment, and one of them was for somebody that commits intentional murder. But the second one was spreading corruption.
Apostasy.
No.
Yeah, that's spreading corruption.
No,
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same.
There was two though. That
yeah.
The second one, it begins by saying, but there's several different categories here of what spreading corruption in the land. It didn't say spreading corruption though. What did it say? It said
spreading corruption in the land.
Is that what it said? Okay.
Yes.
It never, but it doesn't define this. See, this is the thing. It doesn't define what spreading corruption in the land is. Spreading corruption in the land could be spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Right. I was about to say that a minute ago. That
Right.
yeah,
So-
preaching the gospel.
Yeah, because if I was to go to Mecca today and stand outside the Kaaba and try preaching Christ, I'd get killed.
Because they would place it as you're corrupting the land.
Right. I'm trying to proselytize, convert Muslims or out of Islam and into Christianity. We can consider that too. So, this is a very general and vague term that's used purposely. And this is rad. Who did this get killed in France? Some history teacher there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Samuel Patty. Sir, Mr. Samuel Patty.
Yeah.
Got his head chopped off, man.
Well,
because someone like a Kenny posted, pictures of the dude's boss where he worked and everything. Someone like, seriously, they did a Kenny on him.
Well, Paul, they would, if this is any consolation to you, they'd chop my head off and Eric's head off with your head at the same time. So the three of us would get our heads chopped off. But your head would be chopped off first because your name is Paul. And they hate Paul.
Well, I'll look for that link and I'll post it. So anybody else who wants to go there and ask him why he's protecting Allah, so let me find that link and I'll post it in the chat room.
Hey, George.
Yeah.
Well, why would they hate Paul? Paul is a respected follower, messenger of Allah.
Yes, there's another contradiction in Islam. You make a good point. You're right. They should chop his head off last. But,
Right.
You're right. But, this is just another contradiction in Islam where their own sources, they go against their own sources. So what this tells me, what this proves to me is that, again, Islam is really a political ideology and the people, the followers, are not really expected to think. They're expected to follow what the imam tells them to do. That's why these imams are so important. And that's why this clip that you guys played about this guy in Canada is so important. Because the members are not expected to think. They're expected to follow what this imam tells them, even if he goes against what's written in their sources. Because they're not expected to read their own sources and come to their own conclusion. It's not like Christianity. In Christianity, the scripture says, be like the Bereans who every day check the scriptures to see if these things were so. So
Yeah.
as a Protestant Christian, we're supposed to open our Bibles and listen to what the guy is saying, compare it to what the scripture is saying, and see if it makes sense. That's Christianity. That's Christian theology and tradition. But Islam is not like that. You're supposed to listen to these scholars, and whatever they say, you follow. So if they say chop Paul's head off last, then you do that. Or George, or whichever one, just do what they say.
Okay. Okay, folks, let's go ahead and start closing it up for tonight. We'll go around the table here. We'll get to you, Rad. Hold on a second. Okay, let's go ahead and start. Ed came into the show late, so I'm thinking Ed probably has the least amount to say, but then again, he's always full of surprises.
Well, Rad can have my turn.
Wow, that was short. Okay, so we'll give Rad, we'll give you the additional 45 seconds that Ed normally takes. Let's go ahead with Dr. Kabir Isa. Sometimes this late in the show, he's just kind of hanging out, not listening, off doing something, but not there. Okay, so let's go with Dr. Kufar Phobia.
I'm going to follow Ed and give my 45 seconds to Rad because I know it's going to be good.
Rad's up to a minute and a half. Outstanding.
Don't let me down, Rad.
Okay. Okay. All right. Never mind. All right, George. Do you have anything else you want to add tonight?
Yes, I want the Muslims who listen to this panel discussion to understand that we love them. We cannot be Christians if we don't love them. But we believe that the love of God is truly reflected in Jesus Christ. And it's important for them to follow Jesus. He says, I am the truth. I am the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Jesus is the truth. And what we are saying to you is that this false ideology that's full of so many contradictions, so much hate, so much problems. When you compare it to the beauty of Jesus Christ, you'll throw it away and follow him. So I'm not saying follow Eric. Don't follow Eric. Eric has a cold right now. You can't follow Eric.
I might sneeze. I can give you COVID or something.
Right, exactly. Right. So you can't follow Eric. You can't follow me. And even Paul, as good looking as he is, I would say don't follow him either. So follow Jesus Christ. Just read his words and follow him. That's what I have to say tonight.
Amen. All right. Thank you, George, for that. All right, Mr. Paul. Any parting gifts?
I'm going to defer to Rad because I can't wait to hear what he's got to say.
Oh, my gosh. Rad. Yeah, Rad on a whole. Oh, as a matter of fact, let's see here. Well, I'll announce it later. I'm going to be out on a Tuesday here in the. Well, I guess it's going to be a while out there. All right, Connie, our sister Connie.
Yeah, it's sad that. Yeah, it's sad that these imams, want to, like Paul said, try to defend Allah and lie about him. But what's happening is Muslims are getting more wiser to their lies, and they're leaving Islam. So I just say, welcome Muslims into Christ, and we love you, whether you stay there or you go. But most of them are leaving, and so I just encourage them to keep on leaving Islam and come to Christ and receive salvation.
And that's the crux of it. Now, you hit it right on the head. There is that they're leaving in droves. They're leaving Islam not because of what this imam that was on there. He said that they're afraid of Islam. They're afraid. They know that the texts are true. No, the bottom line is that people are now being subjected to the textual criticism that is now being applied to the Quran, being applied to the historicity of Islam, and seeing that it's not true. And this is why you have so many people apostatizing from it now. This is why we're having this avalanche that they were fearing 5 years ago. And this is what we're seeing. So spot on. All right, Rad, everybody's waiting on you. Don't disappoint, sir.
All right. Well, this is a
no pressure.
This is a video that was shared to me by Anthony Rogers. So go ahead and pull it up. All right. Here we go.
Are there any jihadis in the house tonight? Anyone want to take out the dizzle before I start talking about Muhammad, who's old enough to be her great not so great grandfather? We should exaggerate how great Muhammad was. Great not so great grandfather. We should exaggerate how great Muhammad was. So the heart of the issue is this: is it immoral for a man who's the pattern of conduct for billions of people to marry a girl who's young enough to be his granddaughter? I say yes, it is immoral. It's shockingly immoral. It's really immoral. Are there any jihadis in the house tonight? Anyone want to take out the dizzle before I start talking about Muhammad, who's old enough to be her great not so great grandfather? We should exaggerate how great Muhammad was. The religion of Islam says, no, you're wrong, David. It's not immoral at all. Not only is it perfectly acceptable, it's an act fit for Islam's ideal pattern of conduct. And only a racist, Islamophobic, hate-mongering bigot would have any problem with Muhammad's marriage to a child. Are there any jihadis in the house tonight? Anyone want to take out the dizzle before I start talking about Muhammad, who's old enough to be her great not so great grandfather? We should exaggerate how great Muhammad was. Sheikh Yusuf Estes, one of the most popular Muslim speakers in the world, compares Muhammad and Aisha to Romeo and Juliet. Somehow, I don't think that Romeo and Juliet would have enjoyed such lasting popularity if Romeo had been 51 and Juliet had been 6. Are there any jihadis in the house tonight? Anyone want to take out the diesel before I start talking about Muhammad, who's old enough to be her great 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 not so great 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 grandfather? We should exaggerate how great Muhammad was.
If my daughter reached the age of menstruation at 9 years old, I would say you are ready. You are ready to get married.
If you look just at the Quran, you will get the indication that you can have sexual intercourse with 5-year-olds.
Are there any jihadis in the house tonight? Anyone want to take out the diesel before I start talking about Muhammad, who's old enough to be her great 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 not so great 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 grandfather? We should exaggerate how great Muhammad was.
Oh, that was excellent. I need to play with that one. I need to add my frosting to that thing.
I thought it was pretty good.
Oh, that was awesome.
Poor Eric's muted. He's speechless.
All right, and I'm supposed to follow that. Really? Really?
So was it worth it, guys? I hope it was all
Oh,
worth it.
yeah. That was who made that? Was that you said Anthony Rogers made that?
No, he got it from somebody else. Somebody else sent it to him. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, that was I don't know. That somebody definitely has some talent with doing that.
Buddy.
Okay, so everybody, again, my gratitude. Everybody that was in chat that came here tonight, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for participating. Thank you for the professional advice about the subjects that we were talking about tonight. I mean, it was just absolutely phenomenal to see that amount of professionalism that we have here in this crowd. Everybody on the panel, of course, even those who came late and who didn't say anything.
Being professional. Yeah, right. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
You said all the professionals we had in here. I was just kind of laughing. I'm like,
well, no, I was talking about the. Come on, I was just talking about the nurse advice that we got from people who are licensed in this stuff.
Right. Oh, okay, good. Whoa. Well, I got a reputation up here, people. Come on now.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I see where you're going with that. That's okay. We have too much fun. We don't have enough fun on this show. It's always a blast, and I appreciate everybody coming and participating. And we will be back here on Sunday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, with the Crossing the Crescent discussion group. God bless everybody, and we'll see you all then.
All right. Support the truckers.